Welcome to the hottest movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I'm your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop. And it's a new year, yes it is. And I am here in the first episode of 2016, baby. And I am here to review 4 movies for you this week. One, a huge movie that just opened in wide release finally this week. That's been a lot talked about a lot. It is Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. The other movie that opened in wide release, the first true release of 2016, because I count The Revenant as 2015. The first true 2016 release is a horror movie, what a shock, called The Forest. And I will also be reviewing a film that I didn't catch in theaters, but I did watch right before it came out on DVD. You can find it on DVD and Blu-ray now. It stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's called The Walk. And as well as this week's random review. We're going to get back to the random reviews this week, and this week's is a doozy. It is possibly Adam Sandler's worst movie ever, which I know is debatable because there's a lot of bad ones. Little Nicky. Yep, I finally sat through it. So you'll see what I thought of it. Anyway, let's start off on a high note. I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie that everybody's talking about, The Revenant. Taking place in 1823 in the unsettled wilderness of the Louisiana Purchase, a group of trappers and hunters are ambushed by a group of Native Americans. The survivors escape when one of the men, Hugh Glass, is mauled by a bear. The group tries to take Glass with them, but his condition keeps getting worse and is slowing them down. 2 members of the party are ordered to stay with him until he dies and to give him a proper burial. Instead, one of the party members kills Glass's son in a struggle and buries Hugh alive. Glass manages to crawl out of the grave and pursue harsh elements on his road to revenge. So what did I think of The Revenant? I thought it's a hard-hitting and draining adventure drama. I'll begin by saying this is not just an exhausting experience for the protagonist, but also for the audience. The film asks more out of its viewers than most do. It kicks off with a gruesome battle scene which brings us right into the action. The bear attack is extraordinarily shot and looks legit. After Glass is buried alive, it's a very slow build to his redemption. We see the character go through hell in order to survive, including hiding from the enemy, finding food, falling off a cliff, and sleeping in an animal corpse for warmth. Hostile. Not hostile, hostile. Get it? Along the way, he does meet a companion who gives him some spiritual healing. Toward the end of the film, the pace picks up as Glass comes closer to finally getting his revenge. Leonardo DiCaprio stars as Hugh Glass, the experienced hunter left for dead by a couple of his own party. Leo does give a great performance, and even though he doesn't have tons of dialogue, he has to emote his feelings through his expressions and movements and reactions to the situations the character is put in. This could finally be the role to nab him that Oscar. Also in the cast, Tom Hardy as John Fitzgerald, the antagonist who wants to speed up Glass's death, Domhnall Gleeson as Captain Andrew Henry, the leader of the hunting party, Will Poulter as Jim Bridger, the other member of the party who stays behind with Glass and feels guilty over what Fitzgerald does to him, and Forrest Goodluck as Hawk, Glass's son. The Revenant is a long journey, but certainly one worth taking. I'm going to give it the rating of A-List approved. That's right, it gets the A-List seal of approval. Alright, well, now we venture, that's 2015, old news, right? It's all been done. We're gonna venture into the first film of the new year, first new release. And it's a horror release, of course, because it seems like the first week of the year is always a horror release we get. Will this one be better than any of the ones we've seen in the last few years? We'll find out. Natalie Dormer, who, I wouldn't kick her out of bed. She stars in this film. It is called The Forest. An American woman, yeah, I know, heads to Japan where her twin sister has gone missing after last being seen heading into the, Okajihara Forest. Yeah, that's what it was. The unique and haunting thing about the forest is that many people looking to commit suicide enter it to do the deed. Dirty deeds. With the help of two guides, the woman goes through the supernatural grounds. But will she find her sister? And will any of them come out alive? So what did I think of The Forest? I thought it's a lackluster horror flick. This feels like one of the many Japanese-inspired horror movies that released 8 to 10 years ago, such as The Grudge or The Uninvited. I found nothing of note to be scary, and all of the jump scares happen to be in dream sequences or have nothing to do with what's going on. In fact, the creepiest thing is a Japanese girl in a schoolgirl outfit who makes weird faces. Things take a bit to get going, but once the main character gets to Japan, she begins to question locals and they warn her to stay on the path when she goes through the forest, as things will trick her and make her want to kill herself. In between what's supposed to be exciting, there's a lot of downtime, depending on flashbacks dealing with the tragedy of the twins' parents to give us info that will coincide with what's currently happening. Quite a few things with the story will make you scratch your head as not everything adds up. Once she gets into the forest, our heroine makes lots of bad decisions and ends up falling into a cave. There are some interesting moments where the characters become paranoid and aren't sure if they can trust each other. There are also a few lame attempts at humor, but the only laughs I let out were unintentional. Add in a stupid ending, and you have a pretty disappointing experience. The cast does okay with what they had to work with, and stars Natalie Dormer as Sarah, the woman looking for her twin sister in the spooky woods. Dormer also plays Jess, Sarah's sister, who works in Japan and disappears. Also included are Taylor Kinney, Mr. Gaga, as Aiden, a journalist for an Australian magazine who helps Sarah through the forest for The Scoop, and Yukoshi Ozawa, I did pretty good there, as Michi, a guide who goes into the forest to try to stop people from committing suicide. The Forest had an okay premise, but fails to deliver on it. I'm going to give it the rating of... For the first time this year, I got 2 words for you. And Natalie Dormer, you can take these words. Not because you're bad at an actress, but yeah, you know it. I got 2 words for you. Suck it. Alright, now that brings us to a film that came out on DVD and Blu-ray this week. It's a film I didn't catch in theaters. So, let's see what I thought of The Walk. The true story of a French street performer who sees a magazine article of the Twin Towers in New York City and becomes obsessed with doing a performance with the buildings. He decides that he will place a wire between the buildings and walk on the wire between the towers. After precise planning, he finds himself in America and begins doing quote-unquote spy work in the building so he can get a close look at where the stunt will be performed. The day of the walk comes and a couple of setbacks occur. However, they don't stop the performance from happening. During the busy morning, New Yorkers look up and see a moment they will never forget. So what did I think of The Walk? I thought it's an impressive drama. The film starts out with the main character narrating his story from the torch of the Statue of Liberty. It's a bit weird, and it comes back to him on the torch every so often to add some unneeded commentary. The viewer sees his early life in France, sneaking into the circus to watch the tightrope walkers and aspiring to be one, to riding a unicycle in the park, and then practicing his walk above some water, and then upgrading to Notre Dame. Some Hunchback love for you. Well, That sounded awkward. When he and a couple of friends come to America, it also almost becomes a heist film as he recruits accomplices to help him with certain elements of the stunt. Obviously, the walk itself is what we're all waiting to see, and it certainly doesn't disappoint. Watching him walk the wire is pulse-pounding, and then he goes back and does it again. And again. Being it's illegal, groups of cops form on both sides of the buildings to try and get him whenever he comes towards the ledge of either tower. The cinematography of this scene is spectacular, complete with clouds and even birds. The film has a sense of humor to it as well, which keeps things entertaining. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, as we'll call him, because he's French in this one, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, of course, stars as Philippe Petit, the street performer who wants to pull off one of the biggest stunts ever seen. Charlotte Le Bon as Annie Alix. Can you tell I took French in high school? Yeah. I don't remember much. A fellow performer who ends up becoming friends, amis, and even a little more with Philippe, and comes with him to America, and Ben Kingsley as Papa Rudy, a circus performer who teaches Philippe the ropes. La rope. That's not right. The walk contains a few lows here and there, but has many great highs. I'm going to give it the rating of... do it. And finally, the moment you've all been dreading... Not really. This is this week's random review, where I just randomly pick a movie to watch out of my collection, or from wherever. Just randomly. It's random, obviously. This week's is the the Adam Sandler comedy Little Nicky. When the devil wants to retire, his sons fight to take his throne. Well, all but one of his sons, Nicky, who's not into the whole evil thing. The brothers go up to Earth to literally raise some hell, and Nicky must go and bring them back in less than a week. So what did I think of Little Nicky? I thought it's an abysmal comedy. I knew this was always talked about as one of Sandler's worst films, and God, you have to do a lot to be that. But this feels like ground zero for cinema in general. I knew when the film opened with Jon Lovitz creeping on a woman while sitting in a tree, I was in for a painful experience. I laughed at absolutely nothing the entire runtime, from seeing Hitler in a maid's dress getting a pineapple shoved up his ass, to horrible telepathy scenes between the brothers. It's all unfunny and full of terrible slapstick comedy that flops at every turn. When Nicky gets to Earth, he's guided by a talking bulldog who tells him what to do, finds a roommate, has a fight at the Harlem Globetrotters game, has the whole town turn against him, and ends up in a heaven versus hell finale. All of this just even sounds like a bad idea on paper, and it's a mystery to why it got greenlit in the first place. Adam Sandler stars as Nicky, the devil's good son who comes to Earth to stop his brothers. Patricia Arquette as Valerie, a woman who ends up being attracted to Nicky, not attacked, attracted. It would have been a little more exciting. Harvey Keitel as Satan, the evil one looking to hang up his pitchfork. Riz Ifans and Tommy Lister as Adrian and Cassius, Nicky's brother who disguised himself as priests to trick congregation members, and tons of cameos are included as well. If you've ever been on the fence about watching Little Nicky, don't. The end couldn't come fast enough, and it felt like I spent an eternity in hell. I'm gonna give it the rating of Little Nicky, Adam Sandler. I got 2 words for ya. Suck it! Alright, well that does it for this week. I'll be back next week with my reviews of Ride Along 2. Yeah. The 13 Hours, I think it's called. The Benghazi movie, which got some Michael Bay in it. Oh, God. I did enough Michael Bay bashing online this week when talking about Transformers 5. Here's 5. Facepalm. As well as You know what? I may even go out and see Norm of the North. My God in heaven. Because I want to see how bad it is. But if not, then we'll do Norm of the North, another episode. We'll see what happens. But at least you got Ride Along 2 and Benghazi coming at you. And whatever else I happen to catch, whatever next week's random review is. Oh, I know. Actually, I'll be doing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as one of the reviews next week because it's being re-released. So come back for all of that goodness. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/westside515. And by the way, Sunday night, October, yeah, a long time away, January the 10th, the Golden Globes. I will be doing the first ever, I've done this in a long time. It's been 3 years since I've done a live stream? Anyway, 3 years in the making. The Golden Globes live stream, where I'll be giving you commentary. I'll be giving you my picks, who I think should win, who I think should have won, who I don't like, who I think sucks. It's all gonna be there. So make sure you tune in, because you know the Golden Globes got Ricky Gervais this year, but they can be boring in between. So I'm gonna give you some commentary in between and tell you who should have won and whatnot. And if I'm happy with whatever. So pull up an iPad, pull up your computer, put it next to the TV if you're watching the Golden Globes, and have a good old A-list time with me, because it'll be fun. And I'll give shout-outs and whatever. So check that out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/westside515. Of course, you can go back and rewatch it, because that's fun too, what I thought of it. Also, follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/WesAList. Follow me on the Twitter, @WesAList, and of course the Instagram, @WesAList. And the 2015 Movie Review Yearbook is on its way. It has been published. So look out for that as well. It's only $10. It has over 170 reviews. You can pre-order now. If you're interested, contact me through one of those links. Until next time, Troop out.